How's it going, Thrashers? No upload yesterday. I'm busy often on Thursdays. But today, this video is just going to be a simple little, talking head kind of video. You just get to hear some stuff. The topics of discussion that I've thought about and wanted to speak on are some of the comments I've been getting, the very few, but the very worthwhile. One comment is worth a million to me if it contains some sort of idea, concept, something some people want to see. So that's probably first up to talk about. And then I'm going to go over these 3 channels that I think have some pretty good information, or, I think I just enjoy the content for one reason or another that I'm going to speak on, and I'll pull those up to double check, make sure I'm getting the names correct. And then maybe lastly, I'll do some talking about my own personal journey and exposure to thrash metal and metal music in general, and how it relates to what I learned to like over time. So first and foremost, I'm grateful that on particularly my videos with more views, my call to action video with my little cat, that one's fun. I got a comment on that one, and somebody was requesting some stuff from Voivod and Morbid Saint and early Exodus tunes, like very early, like first album. And I think I'm going to be alienating myself just a little bit in saying this. I think that I don't particularly enjoy the first Exodus album. I think it's something to do with the tone, the guitar tone, and the lead guitar work isn't the best that Gary or Rick would do, but their next album and the ones after that, they start to really, really rip. So they got very good very quickly. And I think it also is just a matter of, I guess, the mix, how the vocals were done as well. I didn't exactly care for the vocal work on that album. However, from all the stories and anecdotes I've heard, quite a character the vocalist was. Quite an interesting person, an integral part of driving the band forward in their early appearance. Voivod, I think, is interesting. A lot of their music is very peculiar. They do a lot of weird sounding, clustery chord things with like distorted signals, and it's very difficult to kind of get a good grasp on some of their music. I enjoy the novelty of it, but again, I think it's an issue with the tone and the mixing and the vocals when it comes to that type of band. But I can see merit in some of their songs that are a little more down to earth and a little more simple. I kind of like bands that can do a sort of like AC/DC, where you make the same kind of thing a lot. Consistency is sort of key. You can experiment, I guess, and sometimes it goes really well, like, the Black Album or whatever, or some of the slower songs in Symphony Destruction. Or it sucks and a lot of people hate it, like Saint Anger or Risk or something. So, you never know. And then Morbid Saint, I think my next lesson will probably be trying to figure out the tune Damien, because that's what the fella really wanted. Polite guy, nice about it. Positive energy. Good. But that tune, again, not the greatest production. The album, the guitar tone is very kind of crunchy, and it almost sounds kind of like a demo. And I think that the quality of the songs and the riffs are good enough to carry it through. I wouldn't hate listening to it if somebody put it on, I think that's a problem with a lot of first albums from some bands, though, and I don't know what that is. I mean, with some of the German bands that I tried to look at, like Tankard or Destruction, or gotta think of I think there's 2 more that I can't remember because I don't keep track of all this stuff. But a lot of their first albums or first or second albums, their tone and the mix is just very out of whack. It's not very crisp, and that's unfortunate, is I feel like a lot of the riffs and songwriting that those players had to offer was interesting, but it's a barrier of entry for listening to music. It's you gotta have a proper mix and have everything not taking up too much space, and your guitar tone has to be really solid and really punchy and not overly gritty. I mean, for a while, it just seemed like kind of like how Swedish or Finnish black metal, they kind of try to make their mixes sound as gritty and dark and bad on purpose, but I don't know if it's like that. I think it may have just been like creative decisions or whatever. But yeah, I guess that's what I have to say about things of that nature, songs and their mixes and what people have been requesting. Another person wants to know about not Dimebag's individual licks per se, because you could find those anywhere, but how solos are structured. And it's quite difficult because as a pentatonic player, you really kind of only have a chance to learn Dime's runs that he prefers to do when going through the scale, and how he leads those into like symmetrical licks. But I don't know, that'll be a challenge if I do get around to that one, but that one probably doesn't take too much priority as an idea, because I don't want to put out any information that isn't really, really solid, you know. All right, so aside from that, I also talked about, what did I say I was going to get into after people's suggestions? That's the problem with not scripting videos. You forget things, and you're just kind of stuck out here in the open until you can remember what it is you were going to talk about. Right, the YouTube channels that I think have very important information or are just good sources or just good, cool people. This channel, Luke Mann, and his whole deal is trying to teach about alternate picking. And I like his methodology that he chooses to demonstrate, where he talks about, for practicing alternate picking licks, the mechanics therein and what particular exercises to focus on them, and how to effectively practice using a metronome without doing this sort of traditional over-explained concept of just do it at whatever tempo you can and then slowly creep it. But he has a different approach, which he goes over in his free little lesson video you can get. He has a link down where you can put your email, and it gives you the link to the unlisted video on his channel. Quite a nice video. I think it does a pretty decent job explaining basic alternate picking technique for people. So yeah, his channel is pretty great. And I like his energy too and his vibe. He's a pretty chill dude. He seems like somebody who'd be nice to hang around with after a set. Another one is Vicious Dengelicious. It's a very difficult name to say, but his channel is full of covers. He hasn't been active on YouTube in a while, which is very unfortunate, because I think this person was very talented. They had a great ear, or they found very high quality tabs for a lot of the types of tunes that I like. They did a great number of good Havoc covers. And I will admit that aside from looking at live footage from Havoc, I also look at some of his covers and watch his hand movements to see how he plays the tunes and see if those are accurate to my ear. So I think he gets a lot of stuff right, and he's a pretty great contender for one of the better channels to do covers of those difficult tunes. I'm not exactly super hyped about his lead guitar work, trying to do stuff like Reese, but I don't believe that that's too big of an issue, because he doesn't make too many mistakes in his videos at all. He just doesn't really have like amazing picking, but he does his best, and he gets very close, and he does within his abilities. He doesn't try to overextend and sound sloppy and bad. He just does what he can, which is honestly what I recommend everybody try to do until they continue pushing their limits. So again, an amazing channel. Love him. And lastly, I think this channel, I'm pretty sure there was a fourth one, but I can't remember it. I was talking about it to myself the other day. But this last one, Seba Castillo, or Castillo, Spanish-sounding last name. I'm a dumb American. I don't know how to pronounce any foreign-sounding names, so I gave it my best shot, I guess. He has his own individual project band. I think it's all individually him, called Keyscore. And his style is just fantastic. He's an amazing descendant, I guess. If you put Dave Mustaine, like first album Dave Mustaine, in a cloning vat and changed things up and made him a South American or Spanish in person, you would get this type of fella. His covers of early Megadeth tunes are fantastic, and his technique is pretty solid, really, really good. And he covers the Metallica demos with Dave Mustaine's solos on there pretty close, like really close. And I think that is, I guess, seeing videos like that very much inspired me to start a channel to show people how to do stuff like what he does, because he's a very, I can tell by the tunes that he chooses to play, he's a very old school classic kind of metal dude. Like, you got Motorhead stuff, King Diamond, uh, Overkill. That's a band not a lot of people like to listen to or talk about. Great, great stuff. Diamond Head stuff. Amazing guy. I think his content is, when it comes to playing Dave Mustaine stuff, second to none. Well, maybe me. I don't know. I'm pretty okay. I haven't done any videos about Dave's lead guitar work and other songs other than Last Rites, but that one's quite difficult. But he did a cover of that one, and that was pretty fantastic. So, yeah, those are some fantastic channels. I recommend everybody who doesn't already look at those. If you are watching this, please check those out. There's a lot of valuable information and quality content there to be found. And I thought, it's only decent to pay your respects to people who influence or help you, not even just your favorite bands or band members, but fellow content creators on the platform. I hate using big words like that sometimes, I'm educated. I don't have a limited vocabulary. It's hard to speak plainly and simply. I'm sorry. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, right. My experience with metal music. I wonder if anybody could relate to this, I guess. But so for a long while, I didn't listen to music in general, and if I did, I would go through phases. Like, I had a rock phase where I thought AC/DC was like the coolest thing on the planet, and that lasted like 2 months. And other like basic rock bands. But the story of how exactly I got into metal is a really weird one. So I have a VR headset. Back before I played guitar, I like to play a lot of video games, and I like to play this game. I forget what it was called, but you were in a little airplane and you would ride around and shoot other planes. And I love to listen to Carry On My Wayward Son while doing that. I thought it was a really badass song to fly around and hit airplanes with. It was kind of background noise. And then on YouTube, I was recommended the Anthrax cover of that song. And I was like, holy shit. This is just the song, but like it sounds cooler and better. What is this? Like, I knew what metal was, but I didn't like do anything about it. I never listened to like any of it. And from there, it was like a light bulb flicked on in my head, and I started to attempt to learn and look at all the different stuff about metal, surface level though. I tried listening to Anthrax and Slayer and some early Metallica and Megadeth. I think the first songs that I really liked was the Am I Evil Diamond Head cover that Metallica did. I liked Madhouse by Anthrax, and I liked South of Heaven by Slayer. I think those were the four that I like really liked at the start, but everything else on those albums was like huge to me. And then when I told my dad I want to learn the guitar, and he got me one of those like Jackson JSVs or whatever, and it was the black with the white bevels and the Floyd and like the Floyd on it, which was probably a bad idea, because don't get a Floyd on your first starter guitar. I guess it's not good for you because it's a pain to do anything with properly. But I did, and I loved it because I wanted to be kind of like Dave. And I sucked, and I couldn't play, and I was like, I need an instructor. So I found one. My dad put the word out, and we got a phone call while in the car. And from him, I've effectively learned, I think one of the biggest things he instilled in me, and I still go, but I think early on, one of the biggest important things was to learn about the music in general, to learn about the history of the bandmates, a lot of the nerdy stuff below the surface, learn the players' names. And I think that's what really set me down the path of like becoming hyper fixated and obsessed with certain band members, what they did, who they talked to, who they played with, and it just kept going. And then the type of music I was able to listen to grew, because at the very beginning I wasn't able to handle harsher vocal styles. I couldn't listen to some of the stuff like the Pantera stuff on New Level or anything after that. I couldn't do it. I thought the riffs were great. I liked the soloing, but I couldn't listen to the vocals. And looking back on it, it's very silly, but I couldn't. And I'm still pushing my ability to like handle certain vocal styles to this day. Only recently I repicked up a band that used to be difficult to listen to. But I like them now. Crisix, Crisix. Great songs from them. Very heavy style, and they covered a bunch of American thrash tunes. I think they are South American, Spanish, some sort of something of that nature. I don't know in particular. I'm not going to say something I'm not 100% certain on, but they have an album where they've covered a bunch of classic style era American thrash tunes, and it's fantastic to see them paying homage to the original American thrash scene and then taking it and doing something awesome with it. I used to not be able to listen to Havoc. And another band that was kind of difficult to listen to that I only recently was able to get into again was Toxic Holocaust, because they toured with Havoc, and I thought I'd try to listen to them again. And a couple of their tunes, the guitar work was so nice, not lead guitar wise, but the riffs so fantastic and catchy. Some of them that I just had to keep it up and keep listening to it. So I put a couple of tunes on my playlist. And I guess I should talk about the fact that it is sort of rare within my age demographic to have somebody who is this invested in music. I think just in general, but like a particular style of music, a particular genre, to be as I guess I'm going to use the same word, invested, just like very, very focused and fixated. I feel like there's some sort of weird like disease that people have where they're not able to interact with music in the same way they used to. Art of Guitar is a good channel, and they made a video about this since he made a video about when kids would come in with like albums or whatever, and like they knew everything because on albums you could flip them over and read the back and it had the names of the guys, the lyrics of the songs. And since music wasn't as easily accessible, what you bought with your allowance of that week from doing chores or whatever is what you got. So you best be sure you're going to listen to it front to back and like all of the music on there. But nowadays we've sort of drifted away from that, and all people do now is when someone recommends a band to them, they click on the Spotify page for the band, they look at the top 5 songs from the band, try them for like a minute, and good luck if the band has like a silent intro that builds tension or a melodic intro, because they're going to skip that and be like, oh, this song's lame or something. But it only added like the most popular, like 5 most popular songs from each band, and that's it. People don't listen to albums front to back to try to find the deep cuts that are really good. Some people's favorite songs may not be the most popular songs. I know that's the case for me with a lot of bands I listen to. So I think it's very sad that it could be a problem with like a lack of attention span, maybe, I think, or just everybody has like a busy mind, or everybody's like got some sort of mental illness or something where they can't like focus on something or be happy with something or just like simply listen to music unless it's like background noise. I think the easy accessibility of music has turned all music in effect to elevator music. It's just something to have on while you're doing something else, I hate that. I think that's terrible. That combined with ticket prices and other factors, like maybe I hear stories back in the day of like when you were a younger gent, like I don't know, 16, 15, all like the thrasher dudes when they were that age, they'd be allowed to play in places and they'd be able to drink and rowdy, be all rowdy and crazy. But like, you just were able to get up to more. People weren't as excited to snitch on each other or record something crazy happening, get somebody in trouble. Nobody, everybody's a busybody. A lot of people just really can't keep their nose out of things because you have a phone. You have the ability to record somebody doing something. Why not record somebody doing something weird? It gets traction. Police see it. That sucks. That's cool. That sucks. Snitch culture, I guess, totally like killed the fun of like American youth tomfoolery, everybody taking everything so seriously. But it's just, you know, it's depressing. It's not very the world of today is not very welcoming for people as invested in things like this, you know. So I hope that a lot of people out there can kind of resonate with the kind of ideas that I'm putting forward here and a lot of the stuff I've spoken about. And, you know, I'd like to hear other people's opinions on this stuff as well, on exactly what the change of people's individual relationship with music has been, how exactly things may have changed. I don't know, hear from some older voices. Who knows? I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. I guess lastly, I'll mention that, yeah, I'm probably going to get going on starting to learn that Damien tune, put out something that's like okay in that style for that one commentor. And then maybe I will do a video on, I'm thinking about these two Gamma Bomb tunes, either Avenge Me or Drinkers Inc. Because that opening, there's an opening riff in Drinkers Inc. that is very weird. I figured it out. I'd have to relearn it, I guess, because I haven't played that song front to back in a couple weeks. But I know I figured it out at one point, so I can do it once, I can do it again. And that's probably very difficult for people to know what that is, so I'll try to do that. Maybe. I got a lot of stuff on the back burner, a lot of stuff that I want to do, but I feel like this is a lengthy enough video, and there's not too much of a need to speak about anything more. But I hope you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out, and I hope you enjoy what is to come in the future, I guess. So, yeah, like, comment, you know, subscribe, I guess. Do what you do, play metal, listen to metal, be metal. That's a pretty good outro line. Maybe I should start doing that. Play metal, listen to metal, be metal. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, peace later.